Hindu Undivided Family HUF under the Income Tax Act 1961. So chapter 1 talks about introduction to Hindu Undivided Family HUF. What is the definition of HUF? The Income Tax Act 1965 defines HUF as a person under section 2 subclause 31. However, the said does not define either Hindu Undivided Family or Hindu. Who is a Hindu? A person can be called as a Hindu who is a Hindu by religion in any form, or who is a Buddhist, Jain or Sikh by religion, or who is born from Hindu parents, or who is not a Muslim, Parsi, Christianity or Jews and are not governed under Hindu law. Lodge and who are lodged in India. Only an Hindu can constitute HUF. What is the meaning of HUF? A HUF is a legal entity consisting of persons descendant from a common ancestor, including their wives and unmarried daughters. An HUF cannot be created by a contract. An HUF is recognized as a separate entity under the Income Tax Act 1961. In direct tax law, the term HUF is used, whereas in Hindu law, the term Hindu joint family is used. More than one person is required to constitute HUF. One person should be a male member. A male surviving member of a HUF, unmarried or a widower, cannot form a HUF. Okay. And what are the key characteristics of HUF? Okay. For the formation, HUF is automatically created at the time of marriage. It can include multiple generations within the same family. HUF for tax purpose can only come into existence if it owns some property or earns some income which is taxable. Jain and Sikh families are not governed by Hindu law, but they are treated as HUF under the Act. 7 ways in which HUF can be a taxable legal entity. On devolution of interest in the co-partner property or a co-partner who dies without having prepared a will, or by inheritance through legally under a will, or where there is a partition in the larger HUF, okay, or where separated co-partner of HUF reunite, or through receipt of gift, or by blending of individual property with the character of the HUF property, that means that by throwing the self-acquired property into the hodgepodge. So joint labor for the benefit of the HUF, through joint labor of the HUF. And who are the members in the HUF? Karta is the eldest male or a female who manages the HUF. Who are co-partner? Sons, daughter, grandsons, great-grandsons who have a birthright to the family property. And who are the members? Other family members such as wife and unmarried daughters. Let's talk about HUF who has only sole male members. It is not necessary to have 2 male members to form an HUF. A single male member, his wife and unmarried daughters can form a HUF. Even one male member and his unmarried daughter can form a HUF. More than one person is required to constitute an HUF. Now think a scenario where there are only female members are there. 2 female members can constitute HUF without any male member. For example, the widow of the co-partner and his minor unmarried daughter can constitute HUF because the widow, being the potential mother, could always adopt a son to her deceased husband and thereby continue the line of the family. So what you learned from this chapter, let's summarize the whole picture together on that to understand better of. HUF can be created by act of parties except by adoption. Okay, means that 2 or more parties can create HUF not by adopting into the family. HUF can come into existence in any of the 7 ways what we have described above on that one. And HUF is not necessary that the HUF must own the property on that one. Individual owning separate property can constitute HUF by pooling together into a separate property in a common pool. For throwing properties in the hodgepodge, a HUF kitty is necessary, though it may be an empty kitty on that. Okay. A co-partner is different from HUF. HUF exists with just two members, one of whom is a co-partner. But for entity to be taxed in HUF, it should have at least two co-partners. However, exception is this in this case is where the funds are received on the partition of the larger HUF. Legal deed is mandatory to constitute HUF, but it is advisable to have a written document clearly stating the details about the property, source of income, etc. Hope you find the chapter 1 interesting on that one. I'll attach the file chapter 1 document to this video on that one. Just go through that. If you have any questions, put up in the comment mail box or drop an email on that, or WhatsApp. The number is mentioned in the comment section on that. And tomorrow we'll take up the second chapter. Thank you. See you all.